Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Purple Breakdown. I am your host, Alex, and I'm so excited to be back here on another episode of the Purple Breakdown with you. It's a wonderful Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, and it's been a great week so far. Sorry about not getting an episode out yesterday. I wanted to, but I found myself a little scrounged for time. I am a former Miami of Ohio alum, and I live close enough that I can go to the game. And so I managed to go watch the game last night, the last home game for the Miami Ohio Redux as they played Toledo. They beat them 74-72. It was a really close game. It was a really good game. They sure know how to make my blood pressure go through the roof, but I'm really glad I got to see the last home game and watch Miami clinch the MAC regular season champion and have the shot going 31-0. I really hope that they make March Madness. I really don't see how they shouldn't make March Madness with what they've done, but I know there's others who say otherwise, and I disagree with them. I'll leave it at that. I won't go into anything controversial more around that. Just know I was very happy. I was a little scrounged for time, and I got back way too late to make a podcast. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Baltimore, and I can't wait to dive into that. So let's go straight into it. Oh, real quick first. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and leaving a comment so that I can read it and smile. I read it every morning when I wake up. Most of the time I look, get out of bed, have my breakfast, and I look and I read comments and I respond then before I head out to work. And it makes my day seeing your comments and smiling and reading them. It just makes me really happy. And please keep commenting, makes me smile, makes me happy, and I want to talk Ravens, since that's one of the ways I get to talk Ravens was when you guys comment. And thank you. I'm going to shout out to all of you who have been consistently commenting on the videos. You guys make my day every single day. Keep doing it, please. Shout out to all of you. So let's dive into it. So we're going to start just with regular updates. No news so far about Lamar Jackson contract extension right now. It's staying silent. Went into this earlier that expected to just continue to stay silent, especially since it's just between Lamar and DaCosta. I really hope it's coming here soon because we got to look right around the corner. In 7 days, on March 11th, free agency opens. And we're coming to the end of this day here soon. In 5 hours, it's going to be 6 days, and then free agency will be up and open. So we're right around the corner there. And so this Lamar extension really needs to happen so that space can open up for free agency, unless their plan and strategy is waiting the long term in the free agency and waiting to see who goes first and then trying to get who they can afterwards. But I think they have some guys that are on the table that they already want right now, and they really need to open up some cap space to get to them when free agency opens up, and re-sign the ones that are needed to stay on the Ravens. But no news yet. Hoping to hear that before March 11th so that the Ravens know a little more how much cap space they're actually going into free agency with. Other news. Tyler Linderbaum is just not going to be a Raven come this next year. It was rumors that he was searching for $25 million in a contract. That's gone beyond what it is now, and it's not so much rumor as much as it's more just the thought that he is and his agent are pursuing a $25 million contract a year for him. And there are some teams based on the combine and rumors going around that they may be ready to just do blank checks and give that to him. So if he hits free agency open market, he's going to be gone from the Ravens, and he just won't be a Raven. And best of luck to him wherever he ends up. And just know, whatever team, if they do a blank check and give him $25 million a year, you are breaking the center market. 100% you are. I don't think centers are worth $25 million a year yet, but other teams can think otherwise. And I'll be honest, that's breaking the market, and the price for centers is going to go up dramatically because of that. So expect centers to be getting paid more because of the contract that Linderbaum will be getting. It is the Ravens offered a market resetting. Well, $25 million is more than market resetting. It is market breaking. Final news, apparently the Ravens are one of a few teams that are still keeping tabs on Max Crosby. I don't think the Ravens actually trade for him. Again, you've heard my thoughts on this, that it just costs too much draft capital, and the Ravens can't afford to give up draft capital when they're in such a needy spot and to have a guy that's going to take up 35 million on the roster. That's just too much right now. The Ravens need help elsewhere, and one man is not going to solve the problems that the Ravens have entirely. So, looking at it, it's better to keep the draft picks, in my opinion, and just let the Ravens build the roster around the young guys that will be coming in that you can have on cheaper rookie contracts, and hope that the players that you expect to take the steps forward do take those steps forwards, like Mike Green, like Malachi Starks, like Nate Wiggins, and the other younger ones who are supposed to be very talented and are very talented, that they take those next step forwards, and then you build further around them with a younger team. Because the entire goal of this, again, I went into saying, is that, look, yes, as Ravens fans, do we expect another Super Bowl? Because that's been touted to us for the past several years, that this is supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team. Yes, we want a Super Bowl, and we're thinking that there's a shot to go and get it again. But winning a Super Bowl at the cost of not being able to win a Super Bowl for the next, few decades, is it really worth it? And going into a rebuild? No, and I'm not saying rebuild as in, oh, we're gonna just have to rebuild because we won a Super Bowl. No, what you're looking for to be a good team that is consistently competing is you can't just sell out your team for 1 year. You have to bring in talent that is going to last year in and year out. So you need to build a young team that has those contracts that are rookies, so that you can afford to pay them for 4 or 5 years and afford to pay the veteran players that demand higher contracts. And the Ravens do have some generationally talented players that are great on the roster that are demanding higher contracts and they're sucking up more. So you just naturally need to get younger players that are going to play well to come in around them that have lower contracts. Build through the draft, Ravens. Build through the draft. DaCosta that's his plan right now, is building through the draft and picking up and getting some proven talent in free agency. And I really agree with that. And applaud I applaud DaCosta for being able to get 11 draft picks this year again, to just have enough draft capital to just bring in 11 players that can add depth to the roster and compete for starting spots or compete for backup spots and just add more talent to the team. Because that's what the Ravens need. They need younger players who are going to play long and play hard and add depth. Because the matter of the fact is, injuries are a part of the NFL. And I said it in the last podcast, you need the depth that if one person goes down, the next person can step up. That's just the fact of the NFL. So those are my little updates coming in right now for it. And, I'll just give a little update. I am part of my episode today for all those who do comment a lot. Thank you so much for commenting. We will at the end. There were 2 comments that I really, really liked and got me thinking. And so I'm going to go in and talk about those. And I think I'm going to make a new little series part of every episode that I do, where I go into my favorite comments that are out there, and we talk about those comments, and so it's a way to get a shout out for you guys and a way for more engagement, and just so that you guys know you're being heard, and that you know that I'm really thinking because of it, and I love thinking because that you guys are commenting. So we'll do that at the end, but good transition going into from what we just talked about is that free agency is coming up on March 11th. So get ready, because when that happens, oh boy, it's going to be episode after episode after episode of who's going where. Other teams are taking this person. Were they on our board? Were they not on our board? Oh, the Ravens just picked up this person. There will be a lot of information coming out, and it will be a lot of episodes. And it may be, oh, there's an episode, and then there's a short because something else just happened, and I didn't have enough time to make a full episode, but I wanted to make a short. So be ready for that. But free agency is coming out here soon on March 11th. And the Ravens have a lot of free agents on the team that could leave. I know I covered this a while ago, but we're going to cover it again because it has been a while and we need to talk about it again. The Ravens have 24 free agents, 19 unrestricted, 1 restricted, who is Keaton Mitchell, and then 4 who are exclusive rights free agents, which those 4 would be Carl Jones Jr., Corey Bullock, Dayton Wade, and CJ Okoye. The unrestricted is going to be Draymond Jones, Alohi Gilman, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyle Van Noy, Tyler Linderbaum, Ardarius Washington, Patrick Ricard, Tylan Wallace, Joseph Noteboom, David Ojabu, Chidobe Awuzie, Taven Bryan, Brent Urban, Jake Hummel, Tyler Huntley, Daniel Fa'alele, Charlie Kolar, Jordan Stout, and Isaiah Light. That's a large list. And the Ravens do need to go in, and you cannot let all 24 of them walk. You need to go in there and look, okay, who out of these 24 are the Ravens really going to try and keep, get new contracts on them, keep them here for a while long? And I think there is some very evident must keep players, and I went into some of these. I still think keeping Draymond Jones is a must, even though he's one of the more expensive edges out there. It's a must keep because you need to have depth at the edge. We went into it in the past podcast where the best thing that you can do for building a championship caliber team is building a strong defense centered around the defensive line, that you come in constant waves of pressure and you have multiple guys racking up 7, 8 sacks throughout the entire year. And I know that may not sound like a lot because they're not going into the 10, 11, 12, 13 sack range. But if you have 3 guys who each have 7, 8 sacks, that's 21 to 24 right there. And if you have 2 more that have 5 each or 6 each, now all of a sudden you're in 30s. And if you have 2 more that have 3.5 each, it just keeps adding up. And so you keep having guys coming from every which way and every which direction and keep putting hurry up on the quarterback, which upsets their cadence and their rhythm and how they're moving and how they're going, which either is going to result in maybe some penalties happening or the quarterback getting really frustrated, just making mistakes, which then presents an opportunity for your secondary to maybe get a takeaway. And it makes your secondary's life easier because the quarterback has less time to throw, is more upset, isn't in their zone, and it makes it easier for them. It's playing complementary football, and the first way to do that is building that defensive line, both the interior and exterior on the edges. And keeping Draymond Jones is one of the ways to accomplish that because you're keeping Mike Green, you have Draymond Jones, you still have Tavius Robinson, you draft in at least 1 or 2 because this edge class is so deep. And I went into this with this combine, how deep this edge draft is. And then you got to find a way to add a little extra at the interior of the defense just in case Madubuike goes back down. You have to have somebody there to step up, and you cannot just solely be Travis Jones in there because that hurt. It hurt so much, the defensive line, not having Madubuike there and having somebody else that could step up. So you need another strong interior defensive lineman. This is where I said Peter Woods, Caleb Banks is another option. Just adding another strong interior defensive lineman to help add on to that. And I know I'm repeating, but it's so important to know this. Other must-keep guys on this list, Patrick Ricard. When you talk about building the trenches, Patrick Ricard is the 6th offensive lineman on the field that lines up in the backfield. He is when you think about how great Derrick Henry is at running, it's because you have a bulldozer in front of him that leads the way, whose name is Patrick Ricard and is over 300 pounds and has full permission to run full sprint into people and slam into them at over 300 pounds to open up the way for Derrick Henry. Keep Patrick Ricard. He is one of the best fullbacks in the league. He deserves another contract. The Ravens need to keep him so that the run game stays strong. That is what he is so important in, is that run game. Keep him there. I really think the Ravens should try and keep Chidobe Awuzie to keep that corner trio set where it sounds like Marlon is staying there. So you're either operating with Marlon, Nate, and TJ Tampa, or you're going Marlon, Nate, and Chidobe, and then TJ in rotation. That's sort of the mix, and I really like to keep Chidobe Awuzie there because he did step up this past year. When Marlon was making mistakes, Chidobe Awuzie stepped up and was playing more consistent than Marlon Humphrey. He was, and the stats are there to prove that. I would like to see Chidobe stay another year to help add depth to the cornerback, so in case injuries happen, but also just in case, sure, you're sticking with Marlon Humphrey, and sticking with him, I entirely think how he plays and the role in which he plays in the defense needs to change, especially since I think he's just getting older and he's not able to keep up with some people as much anymore, that you need somebody there that can be, okay, Marlon, you need to go take a break. You're in. I think that's one of the things that needs to happen. Looking else at it, keep Mitchell. I think it would be a great move to keep him around. It's a great 1-2 punch with Derrick Henry and then Keaton Mitchell. There was an interesting discussion on this that the Ravens should release Justice Hill, and when releasing Justice Hill, it would save them about 3.1 to 3.6. I forget the number. It's either 3.1 or 3.6. It's one of those two. I would believe it's 3.1 more, but it would save them $3.1 million, which is a little extra to keep there in the cap space. But their argument is it saves you cap space, but Justice Hill has also been quite injured these past few years and has been out quite a few times. And now some of those injuries have come off. He has just been walloped on by defensive men. And I mean, some of the times you looked like when he got flipped, landed on his head, and then bounced like 5 feet. Yeah, no wonder he got injured. But he's been a little injury prone, and it would save you money. And Keaton Mitchell took over more of the load last year when Justice Hill wasn't there, and Keaton looked really well, and he looked like his younger self when he was there. And that's not saying that Keaton's old, because Keaton's still young. It's just he's coming to the end of his contract, and it would keep him good there by building that line around Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry will be the main centerpiece for the Ravens run game again. He's not showing any signs of slowing down. Keep him there. Add depth with Keaton Mitchell by keeping him, and you have Derrick Henry, who's the bulwark, I'm going to run through you type of guy, down the hill runner, just bam. And then you got Keaton, who is your speed demon, shifty guy that's going to take the outside, and it's a great 1-2 combo. And then you draft another running back to add the third line depth in there, and you build it that way. And I do like that thought of going that way with it. Now, the other one that I look at keeping here is, we know that the two starting safeties are going to be Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks. And Malachi Starks, everyone expects to take another step forward. Kyle Hamilton is going to be played like a Swiss Army knife and is going to be played all over the field. But they're probably going to operate in 3 safety sets quite a few of the time, so you need another safety there. And the 2 free agents are Darius Washington and Alohi Gilman. And they both have stepped up in big moments for the Ravens. 2 years ago, Darius Washington stepped up big time for the Ravens defense and was one of the reasons that the defense got turned around. Alohi Gilman this past year, while Darius Washington was injured because he got injured during training camp, Alohi Gilman stepped up and played very well, played very good, and proved that he could play like a Raven. So you have 2 guys that you could argue are deserving of it, but I think it's probably going to be Alohi Gilman who stays, because Alohi Gilman was under Jesse Minter at the Chargers. And so has that experience with Jesse Minter and has that connection with Jesse Minter. And so I think Minter knows how to get more out of him and is going to say, I want to run my 3 safety sets. I'm going to keep Alohi and possibly let Ardarius walk, and then operate with that set of Hamilton, Starks, and then Gilman. And those will be the 3, and then possibly draft a safety to add depth, because again, injuries happen. You need depth there. If you can keep both Alohi and Ardarius, that would be great, but I don't see that happening, and I think they would rather stay with who that connection is with already, with Alohi Gilman. Not saying that Ardarius Washington cannot be a good safety. He can be a very good, tough safety. Even though he's undersized, he packs a very mean punch. But I think they'll lean towards Alohi, and you got to keep one of them. And I would also lean towards Alohi Gilman because of that. Okay, so those are the free agents. Those are the ones that I think the Ravens should keep around. You got to consider Huntley, but I've also been hearing rumors that they may be drafting Green in the draft, who set crazy records in the combine. Not records, but crazy numbers in the combine. His measurables were great. His running was great. I mean, I believe he ran a 4.36. And so I was thinking, oh, there's another Lamar. We'll see if they actually do that, but it could be a thought that's out there on the line, drafting a high measurable quarterback like that may be a later round pick, but you're hoping that the pure physical talent that is there, you can coach that up and would be a sustainable backup to Lamar. Now, the Ravens are also going to have to look in free agency towards a lot of different moves, because the Ravens in free agency, let's look now. They need to focus on the trenches, improving the defensive line, improving the edge. They need to add depth at cornerback and safety just in case. but I don't count those two as the most important. The most important right there is the trenches with edge and safety. And then you need weapons for Lamar, which is a wide receiver and a tight end, because you're losing Tylan Wallace, which I think Devontae Walker is going to take a step forward there and be in the spot to try and fight for wide receiver 3 based on the draft or who they bring in free agency. But you need to help him with a tight end and a wide receiver because we're very heavy in tight end sets, and he needs another wide receiver, and especially a good down the field catcher that is an X factor receiver. Um, and then you need interior offensive line, and you need all of the interior offensive line now because you need guard and you need center because Linderbaum more than likely will not be a Raven this next year. And I really hope that maybe we get surprised and we do see that. I just don't think it's going to happen. And so options going forward here, either the Ravens keep Isaiah Likely, not Tyler Likely, Isaiah Likely, which would really, Lamar would like that because they are friends and have that great connection, and Likely has shown up in the big moments for Lamar and for the team. But if he's going to be demanding 10, 12, 14 million, somewhere in that range, and I would probably say more 10, 12 million, somewhere in there, the Ravens possibly can't afford really to pay both Andrews and Likely both that same high level amount, even though we love operating out of those heavy tight end sets. It's just not affordable for the Ravens. And I mean, maybe there is the chance that Likely goes out there, looks at the market, doesn't see anything he likes, and he's already said Baltimore's home, but business is business, which is hinting both ways. Like he wants to stay there, but he wants the money. That maybe he goes out there, recognizes, there's nothing really out here I will stay with the Ravens. Don't know fully about that. I'd like to see that happen, but I cannot guarantee that. So you got to look elsewhere, both the draft and free agency, I believe, because sometimes you may need 3 tight ends out there and you got to go looking for one. And I think drafting Tanner Koziol and then a free agent pickup would be good there. And then Tyler Linderbaum's not coming back, so you need a center and you need other interior offensive line to help. And the Ravens released an article on their website, which I highly recommend everyone going and looking at. It shows all the pictures of the interior offensive linemen, that 20 of them that the Ravens could target. I'm going to look at centers right now because my still number one pick for if they're going after guard is I still think they should go after Kevin Zeitler because of his experience with the team, having been a Raven previously, still putting up very good grades, very good numbers, playing very strongly, even though he's a little older. That he's the pick if you want to go guard. But looking at center, the number one thought, and I went into this last time, is still that it's going to be Connor McGovern off of the Bills. He's 28 years old. He's 6'5", 318 pounds. He has an overall grade of 69.1. He has a 65.2 run blocking grade and a pass blocking grade of 73.4. So it's never going to be a replacement to Tyler Linderbaum. You can never fully replace Tyler Linderbaum, but I believe this is probably the best case scenario that you can go down to get a sustainable center, because a center is going to be having a strong offensive line will be a centerpiece to the Ravens being successful and keeping Lamar healthy. Lamar needs to stay healthy. Having a strong team, a strong line will do that, and that line needs to be able to survive what we talked about, what the Ravens should create with that defensive line that can create constant pressure. You need a offensive line that can survive constant pressure like that and go through the works. So Connor McGovern is thought to be the number one pick that the Ravens will go for out of free agency to fill the spot that Linderbaum will vacate. But remember, there are a lot of teams with a lot of very center heavy need. And so it's no guarantee. Another center that looking at is Ethan Pokic off the Browns. He's 6'6", 320 pounds, 30 years old, has a overall grade of 63.8, a run blocking grade. And then there's Graham Glasgow, who I don't like at all. His pass blocking grade is a 61.3, but his run blocking grade is a 54.3 for a 56 point overall. The best one out there for the Ravens to go for right now is definitely Connor McGovern. And that will be the need to go for it right there. However, we'll watch if Linderbaum stays or not. I don't believe he'll stay. Hopefully the Ravens then can sign Connor McGovern. And again, don't expect it to be the exact, this is the exact same thing as Tyler Linderbaum, the exact same greatness. It's not going to be the same thing. There's no replacing Linderbaum there. Now, that is about all I had to talk for today through the main updates and the segments going through free agency. And so I wanted to end real quick on going through two comments right now. So I'd like to thank David for this comment a day ago now, where you asked, and thank you so much for commenting and appreciating the updates, both good and bad. I really appreciate that you're commenting and doing this. But you made a really good question that I really liked that I know I responded to, but I want to respond with everyone and my thought process behind it so that everyone could hear it, because I think it's a really good question, and a lot of people are questioning it right now, and I'm seeing it going across. But the question was also, is GM DaCosta maybe not getting it done when it comes to putting a team together with enough balance of keeping our best vets with some very young players sprinkled throughout? I thought this was a great question, and I think there is debate around it, especially since looking at the past few years and what has occurred. And I think DaCosta has done the best that he can do it. The thing is, DaCosta has built the best rosters that he believes he could. And some of those younger ones are probably not fully developed into their roles yet, and we'd like to see them go further and develop in further. But I think he's done the best that he can at this point of what he's been able to do. Because you got to look at it and go, when you're drafting and bringing in young players, it's not like every single hit is going to be a home run every single time. It's in the draft, it's just that's not how it works. You're lucky if 20% or 10% of the time you get a home run hit. It's really hard to get home runs with the draft. Your best you can do is hope that you get one home run in the draft or maybe two, and then you have really good, just sort of middle of the line players that can hold their own. And I think DaCosta has done the best at bringing in talent that he can while being able to sprinkle in the younger players. He always gets lots of draft picks every single year, which is a big, important, key thing to being able to be successful in a draft is having lots of draft picks. So you get more, because the more you have and the more you're able to pick, the more likely you're able to find a diamond in the rough. However, I think the problem where it comes to more challenging to keep the best players there, because everyone's going to ask, well, why can't Linderbaum stay and the Ravens afford it? Is because you got to look, the Ravens have so many other big names on the team that they're paying. They're paying Mark Andrews, they're paying Roquan Smith, they're paying Hamilton, they're paying Lamar Jackson, they're paying all these big names, Matabike. You have big names that are getting paid there that you can't afford to keep everyone. And at some point, there's so many other big names that are in other key positions that you can't give up on, and you get to a point where something's got to break, and it just happens to be this time that it's Linderbaum that is the one breaking and going elsewhere. Doesn't mean we can't find a new one to come in and replace, and I think he's doing the best he can, and the rosters that he's put out there, we've seen multiple years in a row, the rosters that he's put out there look really good. They look really, really good, and they've gone very far. Problem is looking at it and going, well, where has it failed? It's when one player tries doing too much. Zay sometimes likes being a little too fancy, and instead of just taking what's given to him, he likes to take a step backwards and then to the side, and sometimes that works really well, and he gets extra yardage, and sometimes he takes a step backwards and goes to the side and then gets walloped and put to the ground, and you're like, Zay, why didn't you just keep going forward? You could have gotten the first down. So I would like to see players be more consistent there. Sometimes Lamar's played hero ball where he is too long and tries extending the play too long and then gets sacked or something or gets hit and can get injured there, and something happens when he could have sometimes just taken what was given to him, even if it's not a first down, even if it's not some massive play, you still take what's given to him. This is where it goes into using your legs. Okay, there's nothing I see. Use my legs, get some yards, slide. Oh, I don't see anything down the field. Hit the throw off to the side real quick or the drag across and just get some yards and keep playing alive. The defensive side of the ball, you got to look at the inconsistency that has been there. And it's not for lack of having talented players, because you look and there has been very good talent there. The problem is, and why Bisciotti fired, let Harbaugh go, is that at some point you got to look at that and go, okay, we have the talent, and everyone in the NFL agrees that the Ravens have the talent and have been highly touted as being Super Bowl contenders. Why haven't we gotten there? Well, at some point you got to go, it's accountable to the coaches of holding the players up to what they should be. And that just wasn't happening as much. And so the Ravens needed to change, and that's what happened. But that's my thoughts on your question there, David. And I know I responded to your comment with a very long response. Sorry, it was like a one-page essay almost, but I hope it helped a lot. And thank you so much for commenting. I just wanted to share that with everyone. So shout out to you, David, and thank you so much for commenting. The other one that I saw was from NTE. Thank you so much for the comment, and I agree with I thought he was a Raven for his career with Linderbaum. Add emo. I feel that real hard, man. I agree with it. Wish he was a Raven for life. Thought he would accept. I think the only way that this situation could avoided with Linderbaum is if the Ravens had gone ahead and done a contract extension with him last year when they did Hamilton as well. And this may be the one thing that DaCosta hasn't done as well is, well, one, finding an X factor receiver, because they go for, and I'm sure the coaches were part of the hunt for this, but you got to think DaCosta it's your job to stop them and say, hey, no more old wide receivers that we pick up in the free agency that don't accomplish anything. Let's go draft some more or pick up a younger one or trade for a younger one that can be that. Um, and that what, but DaCosta has also shown to trade when it's really valuable trades, and those trades have worked out really well. I mean, look at the Roquan trade. Tremont was a big impact on the team last year, so he has done trades that have worked very well. Which goes perfectly into, you asked also, what are your thoughts on the Ravens trading for A.J. Brown? I don't hate the trade for A.J. Brown. I do not. If there was any of these big X factor receivers that the Ravens would trade for, it'd be A.J. Brown. And I know he's had disgruntled with the Eagles. The only problem with that is that his contract is $23.4 million. And so you have him on contract, and then Zay is going to, if they really do take his 5th year option, is going to be getting paid $27 million. That's a little salary cap issue next year down the road, which I know you could be thinking, well, it's next year, but you don't want to sell your soul to the devil for this year to win, and then next year be in a spot where you're like, well, we're just not going to be doing anything for the next 2-3 years, because that will frustrate us all. You want to find that good balance. What I do like about trading more for A.J. Brown, and that I said in the response, is that you're not giving up as much capital for AJ than what you'd have to be giving up for Max. You're giving up less for AJ. I think you could actually get away with giving a lower round pick and then handing over something on the defense, because that's what they're going to want. They're going to want something from the defense, and maybe that's Tavius Robinson, maybe that's Trenton Simpson, um maybe it's one of those players like that you could hand over and do that to get AJ Brown. And he would be an immediate factor on the Ravens. I think you would slot him in right immediately it would be a battle between Zay and him for wide receiver 1. He would be definitely slotted above Bateman right off the bat, and coming in like that, and I would assume, the wide receiver 2 role, and let training camp decide who's going to be wide receiver 1 between Zay and him. And he'd have an immediate impact on the team, and I think Lamar would love having him on the team, and there'd be chemistry there, and it would be effective. The only problem is, I know that there's also rumors that in his comments that he said sometimes about the Eagles and the games that they've won and lost, that maybe there could be a little temperament there, but I don't hate it. The only thing is, I think I'm jumping off the George Pickens train a little bit here. I know I rode that very heavily, but looking at their salary cap space and what they need to do, they can't afford George Pickens or to bring George Pickens in. So I'm going to jump off that train, and I think it'd be better to build through the draft and bringing in a young wide receiver through the draft that you can have for 4 years. And there's people here where if you go second, third round, especially with Zachariah Branch, Malachi Fields, Kyler Bell being there in the third round, that you have some names there. And I look more towards Malachi Fields and Zachariah Branch for being more down the field contested catchers that you can get them to bring in, because that's what the Ravens need, is these contested catchers guy that can contort their bodies a little bit. Or Zachariah Branch is not big bodied, but he's some of those catches where he was just contorting his body every which way was insane. And Malachi Fields is a larger bodied receiver. I believe he's 215 pounds. I believe 6'2", 6'3", and so he's a larger receiver that can box out and make those possession catches. And so I'd be thinking looking that way. However, if the Ravens trade for AJ Brown, I'm not going to hate this trade. I'm not going to go out and say, well, this is a horrible trade. It's the end. I won't say that. I'll like it, and I'll very much support it. I don't think that DaCosta is willing to do this at this moment yet. I think they're still holding out hope on Linderbaum, and I think they're looking at their full needs. And this week, I am 100% certain that they're finishing their draft board, and that they're not only going to try and finish up their draft board, they're going to be sitting down and going through the free agency list and saying, who are our first targets? What can we afford? What can we bring in? And if we can bring in all that and afford it, then we go for AJ if they feel necessary there. But that's my thoughts on that. I hope that you enjoy this little new segment at the end where I do a talk about where I bring in some of the comments. I'd like to keep doing this, so please keep commenting. I'd like to do 2-3 comments an episode and just talk about my favorite ones there and the questions that come out of them, because this is what sparks good conversation, and it helps me know sort of where to go next and what you guys are looking for. So when I know what you guys are looking for, it helps me when I'm doing all my research for these podcasts, because I mean 10, 15, 20, even 30 minutes of doing this one episode takes me 5-6 hours of research. And while I'm at working on break time down doing nothing, I'm like on my phone going, what's the latest news on the Ravens? What's the latest news on the Ravens? Got to be looking through all the Twitter accounts I'm I'm on, looking through all the Instagram accounts I'm on, looking through the Ravens news articles, looking through other news articles, and just going, what is the latest stuff, and keeping up to date with it. And so it's constant hours of work, and this helps me know what you guys want to be looking for. So I'm going through, I'm looking for those keywords and trying to see, okay, is there something that you all are really interested in that's coming out? And I want to keep doing that, and it helps me. So that is all I have to talk about today. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, if you really like enjoying and listening to the podcast, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and commenting. Helps me know where to go next. Makes my day, makes me smile. If you're on Spotify, please consider following, leaving a review, and commenting as well. Thank you all so much for joining in. I can't wait to be on the next episode and talk with all of you again. Have a great rest of your day and an amazing Thursday.